Hello and welcome to Cutting to the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse. I'm Ben. As always, I'm hanging out with Mike.
Hello.
Claire.
Hey.
And Pete.
Hello!
Today we're going to talk about honey traps.
Yeah.
The Russian Romeos. The Chinese nymphomaniacs.
I thought we were talking about Winnie the Pooh. For fuck's sake.
Pete spent all of his
I've
week
been-
with no trousers on, stuck inside a tree.
I've been researching fucking Disney and Winnie the Pooh and shit. Fuck.
Yeah, well, no mate, sorry.
Oh well. Never mind.
Technically though, not Russian Romeos, Claire, when you brought this idea to us for the show. East German Romeos.
So East German, were they?
East German, yeah. Technically, I guess you'd say part of the Soviet bloc.
Same difference in it, really.
Well, I just caught the end of a show and just went, oh, that's quite interesting. Oh, that would be a cool.
They're all angry,
subject.
aren't they?
What, East Germans?
Is it Russians and the East Germans? They're all angry people, aren't they? They're all
Are they?
No, I meant some really chilly
No,
Europeans.
it's
Are
the way
awesome.
it's the language. It sounds very.
It can sound aggressive.
Really aggressive. I
It's
think.
German, especially because
Yeah.
when I did German. I did German.
Language of love.
The German's like,
And that means I love you.
hello, how are you?
It's true. I got told when I was studying German in college.
No offence to any Germans.
I think we've got a few German listeners. So,
I am joking.
But I was struggling with the accent because you've got to be able to do the accent at A level in English college. And she said, all a man's got to do to have an English accent is sound aggressive. A German accent is to sound aggressive.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you're right. Actually, it is. Guten Tag. You know, it's like, oh shit, yeah, she's right.
Or the camp, you go the opposite way, the camp German.
Go Camp German. There's a fine line between the two.
But is mine handy?
And I suspect a leather cap.
They got on mobile phones.
I'm Bill.
Handies.
And that is the difference. You can always tell a German by his hat. If it's a leather cap, he's gay or a Nazi.
No in between.
There's no in between. Leather hats, gays or Nazis. Maybe both.
No, that's an oxymoron, isn't it?
I don't know, man. Today's boundaries.
Say it now.
Today's boundaries.
German.
Exactly. Today's boundaries are becoming more and more undefined, Mike. Right, let's thank some returning listeners, and then we'll crack on with it. Lafayette in California. Lafayette, fuck me, Ben. How long have you been doing this?
Lafayette.
Rancho Relaxo.
I live in Lafayette, California.
Lafayette. Larkirchen in Austria. Rancho Cordova in California. Accra in Ghana. I've met some people from Accra at work.
Llanelli.
In Wales.
Wow.
Wow. Sheboygan, is that how you say it, in Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Las Vegas, Nevada, Quebec, and kind of Frankfurt on Main. Sorry to you for the German accents earlier. You send me messages to the show expressing your anger at me. You can call me a swine if you like. Ooh, Kourou in Estonia, Geel in Belgium, Los Angeles, California. A lot of Californias this week. Redding, California, Tampa, Florida, Legazpi in the Philippines, of all places. Shrewsbury, United Kingdom. London, in the UK. San Diego, California. Austin, Texas. Camden Town, in London.
Right.
Bengaluru in India. I wonder why Camden comes up as not being in London. That's weird. Unless there's another Camden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my own ignorance. Bengaluru in India. Guadalajara, Spain, Stevenage in the UK, Queens in New York, and Ashburn, Virginia.
Hey, Ashburn.
Number 1.
Thank you to everybody, yeah.
Thank you for listening. It's all appreciated. If you want to leave us a message,
your friends.
Tell your friends, tell your loved ones, tell your brother, tell your sister, tell your mistress, tell your honey trap,
Tell your therapist.
Just tell everyone.
tell your
basically.
therapist.
Tell everyone.
What I do nowadays is I literally say, yeah, I've got a podcast, and I go to their whatever app they've got for it, type the name in and
Save it.
save it. Even if it's like YouTube, I pointed out we're on many podcasting platforms. There's Cutting the Bull in the PTA. YouTube is Apocalypse Ball, and on Facebook at Cutting the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse. And I've been told we have an Instagram now.
Yeah. But we don't know how to work it, do we? Really?
No, we haven't progressed to Instagram, but apparently I've got fan mail
Oh, yeah.
on Instagram. There we go.
Scam mail, more like.
I'm going to call it fan mail, Claire, because I'm going to get honey trapped.
Maybe we'll
It looks
we'll
like
do
it. He's got a message and it really does look like it.
maybe we'll do a TikTok next.
We'll
Do little funny TikTok videos, all dancing.
I'm not dancing on
Dancing
TikTok,
in my
mate.
bra.
you can do it if you like. I'll sit here and drink beer. Right, the honey trap.
The definition of a honey
The
trap.
definition of a honey trap, and we'll go into the history of it in a second. The definition of a honey trap is basically, let's say that you're a 45-year-old man, away from your wife, diplomat, in a slightly hostile country, let's say Russia, East Germany. Most of this took place in the Cold War, although the Chinese are having great success at it nowadays. And let's say that you're an American diplomat.
Still goes on now.
Oh, it still goes on now. In
fact,
you're just tricking the book.
The UK the government have passed a law saying it's okay for agents to rape, isn't it, and murder.
They've always had that, Mike. It's
Yeah,
a double O status.
But they've passed it as a law now, so they're able to do it.
Wow.
It's not a honey trap, though, Mike.
No, it's just, a lot of them do end up sort of marrying women and men and having kids and things.
They do. They don't kill them.
They don't kill them, no.
But agents,
Well,
they
they might do
can.
eventually.
In none of these cases, I don't think they did. But yeah, so what you do is you send a very attractive lady or man, let's say, it's more likely to work on men because men, we're ruled by our penises.
We're easier.
We're a lot easier, we're an ego covered in skin, and the second that a woman who's incredibly attractive and 20 years younger than us starts hitting on us, we're going to end up having sex with that woman at some
You're
point.
gonna hope so.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
It's going to be the man's goal.
Let's
either way.
just be honest amongst ourselves, and sorry Claire, this is a little me, Pete and Mike meeting for a second. Mike, you going to do that?
Of course.
Pete?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I'm in there the second she suggests it. Now Claire, role reversed, right? You're a diplomat somewhere, bloke, handsome guy, hunk, muscled, toned, tanned, intelligent, witty, starts hitting on you.
Oh, but she's married. We're all single.
Yeah, but if she's not married.
Okay.
Yeah, some of them were
Well,
married.
some of them are married, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them are married, but they're away from their spouse.
Obviously, I wouldn't do it if I was married.
Oh, you'd
faithful,
be
wouldn't
tested
I?
though, wouldn't you?
Being a single bloke, fuck yeah.
Yeah, not if I was married, you know.
Remember, their job is to wear you down over time.
But we're
It's not just
calling
one
Claire,
indecent proposal.
we're calling Claire a diplomat here, so obviously this is like a complete made-up scenario. So you don't have
Oh.
a husband.
Pete, that is harsh.
So you don't have a husband in this scenario. You're some kind of fucking diplomat.
Well, as long
Some hunky,
as we clicked, yeah, I'd be all
Yeah.
over it.
some Superman-looking dude. What's his name?
Clark Kent,
No,
Henry Cavill.
that's it. Someone like him comes along like that. Hey Claire, how you doing, baby?
He's British.
Oh, hello Claire. How you doing, baby?
Right, posh cunt.
That is a honey trap in its essence, and what happens is, when you get close to that person, you sleep with them, they provide you with a great time, and you tell them the secrets that they want to hear. Like,
I don't think it's as easy as that, is it?
in some cases, these people have got married, had kids, they've lived
Have
their
you never
entire
watched
life with them.
Blackadder the Fourth?
Yeah.
So you see him when he's with that nurse that he thinks there's a mould, and it turns out it's actually the nurse that's the
Yeah,
mould, and he
yeah.
ends up spilling everything to her. And that's years old, so they know how it works, and they have done for a long time.
Oh yeah, well, go back to the samurai times of Japan, feudal Japan, geisha girls. They were literally also trained to be assassins. They're getting close to the daimyo or the lord, and then hairpin
I
out
was
the
gonna
hair
say,
into the neck.
It was the
Out you go.
Just at the point of orgasm.
Yeah, probably. They were trained to be the ultimate lovers as well, so you take him to heaven and then you send him to hell.
not a bad way to go, I guess.
No, it's one of the ways I want to go.
If you had the choice.
If I had the choice, yeah. Turns out that both men and women are equally adept at setting a honey trap and equally vulnerable to tumbling in, although being a man, I'm just going to agree that we go for it more. That's not sexist, by the way, we're more basic than women. Like Claire says, if we clicked.
Yeah.
None of us mentioned that.
Yeah.
None of us mentioned that. None of us mentioned, oh man, I hope she's my intellectual equal. We're just
have
like,
similar interests.
she's 20 years younger than us and had no kids, bang.
She's in her 20s and she said I can put it in any hole. I was there.
I can fish in her mouth after.
Alright then. You know.
She's a predator.
Ben wonders why he's single. Alright, love. Let's do the piss now. Hey!
I only ever did that once.
You're lucky I never needed this shit, love.
I only ever did it once, alright?
Hold on, sit there, love. I'm just going to curl one out on your chest.
Cleveland steamer it.
Oh, who hasn't done that? Who hasn't performed the Cleveland steamer?
I don't even know what that is. No, I'm sort of.
Well, you've been watching the Johnny Depp trial. You should know all about it now,
You shit on the
really.
chest and you rub it up and down
I
your
was
arse.
thinking, yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Steamroller, that's what I was
That's
getting.
it.
That would be fucking gross on every level.
There's only two things I brought away from the Johnny Depp trial, and that was Mega Pint and my dog Ton on a Bee.
Yeah.
Spies often use sex, intelligence, and the thrill of a secret life as bait. Cleverness, training, character, and patriotism are often no defence against a well-set honey trap. And as in normal life, no planning can take into account that a romance begun in deceit might actually turn into a genuinely passionate affair. Now, in fact, when an East German honey trap was exposed in 1997, Berlin Wall's been down for 6 years at that point.
Yeah.
One of the women involved
Longer.
refused.
89 the wall went
I
down.
thought it was 91 they reunified.
Yeah, it was, yeah, but the wall went down earlier, didn't it?
Yeah, 89.
Yeah, when David Hasselhoff parachuted in and some guy had been looking for freedom on top of the Berlin Wall and the other just started attacking it.
He never did that, did he?
No.
I was so picturing that happening then. God damn it, I thought, he is a fucking legend, that man, isn't he?
He single-handedly reunified Germany by singing I've been looking for freedom, stood on top of the Berlin Wall after he was parachuted in by a NATO bomber. Yeah, it was David Hasselhoff, guys. It wasn't years of intense diplomacy and the full economic crumbling of the Soviet Union. No, it was David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, but they do love David Hasselhoff.
They do. The Germans do love David Hasselhoff.
Surprised me.
I thought it was a Mandela effect or something.
No, but it will be from now on, you know. That's
Yeah.
the thing, no one said it. No, it's out there.
People are going to believe that happened now.
People will believe it happened.
It did happen. I heard it on a
I
podcast.
remember it.
I remember seeing he was wearing a fucking pink bandana and everything.
And a red cape.
Oh, shit.
So in 1997, one of the women involved refused to believe that she had been deceived, even when presented with the evidence. Quote, "No, that's not true," she insisted. "He really loved me."
Oh, shit.
And still, we didn't hear off him in this scenario.
And the fact that she said he really loved me, that's the past tense. So that
She
clearly
knows she
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He loved her at the time, but not now.
On a subconscious level, she realises it.
Yeah.
Now, those who aim to perfect the art of the honey trap in the future, as well as those seek to insulate themselves, would do well to learn from honey trap history. And of course, there are far too many stories and too many dramas, too many rumpled bed sheets, rattled spouses, purloined letters, and ruined lives to do that history justice in an hour and a bit podcast.
Yeah.
But we'll do a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lessons they offer for honey trappers and honey trappers and honey trappees are there to be learnt.
So we can learn how to do it.
You can learn how to...
You're not a spy.
How do you know?
I read a really interesting spy theory this week that James Bond, though a spy, was actually a decoy spy because he's so well known. They'd immediately gravitate to him, allowing the other spies who are more secretive
Makes sense.
to actually do the fucking job.
Yeah, that's good.
So while he's playing poker,
Bond!
while he's playing poker in a casino, And he's like just giving away his name all the time because he always name drops, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like the actual spies are doing their job and dismantling the death laser.
Yeah.
And then he just comes in at the end and takes all the glory.
Let's do the first one we've got. In 1986, Mordecai Vanunu, an Israeli technician who worked in Israel's Dimona nuclear facility, went to the British newspapers with his claim that Israel had developed atomic bombs. His statement was starkly at odds with Israel's official policy of nuclear ambiguity, but he had the photos to prove it. And there's always been a thing that in Israel, it's like, you got nukes, haven't you? No.
It was denied, didn't they?
Always denied because it would shift the balance of power too much. If they had them, then Iran all of a sudden would need to have them.
Yeah.
You know, other countries in the Middle East, and you'd have massive instability. The period of negotiation among the newspapers was tense. At one point, the London Sunday Times was keeping Vanunu hidden in a secret location in suburban London while it attempted to verify his story. So just imagine all the newspapers fighting over this guy for the breaking story. But Vanunu got restless, and he announced to his minders of the paper that he had met a young woman while visiting tourist attractions in London, and they were planning a romantic weekend in Rome. The newspaper felt it had no right to prevent him from leaving, but it was a huge mistake. Shortly after arriving in Rome with his lady friend, Vanunu was seized by Mossad officers, forcibly drugged and smuggled out of Italy by ship to Israel, where he was eventually put on trial for treason.
Oh, fuck.
He served 18 years in jail, 11 years of it in solitary confinement.
That's barbaric, that is.
It is actually, that's terrible. Released in 2004, he is still confined to Israel under tight restrictions which include not being allowed to meet with foreigners or talk about his experience. Britain has never held an inquiry into the affair.
I wonder why that is.
Because we sell them tanks, Mike.
America said no.
Well, that and we sell them arms.
Yeah.
You don't want to upset some of your biggest clients.
Plus we're under the thumb of America, and Israel.
And don't forget the Jewish lobby in our own country, Mike.
Yeah,
You know.
that's true.
Well, let's face it, most of our countries are run by them.
Oh, that sounds a bit elders of the private inside up there. If you mean the bankers as in the Rothschilds and people like that, then yes, they technically, I guess you could make an argument
They
for
hold
that.
the strings of the puppets.
In some scenarios, you could. I mean, during the Napoleonic Wars, I mean,
That was
they
the
were
Napoleonic Wars.
They were bankrolling both sides. Who's to say they haven't done that in every war ever since?
There's cunts in every religion as far as I'm concerned. And there's good people, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, well.
The cunts at the top.
Of
Of
course.
cunts. Doesn't matter what religion they are.
The woman who set the honey trap was a Mossad officer, Cheryl Ben Tov, codenamed Cindy. She was born in Orlando, Florida, and she was married to an officer of the Israeli Secret Service. After the operation, she was given a new identity to prevent reprisals, and eventually she left Israel.
Sorry.
I was fucking wondering.
A bit slow today.
To return to the United States.
I have just finished a joint, to be fair.
Fuck me, I always thought you read along with me.
Most of the time I do, I got lost.
She's pretending.
You know when you get lost and you think, oh, fuck it, I'll never find it again.
Yeah, just listen anyway.
Yeah.
But her role in the Vanunu affair was vital. The Mossad could not have risked a diplomatic incident by kidnapping Vanunu from British soil, so he had to be lured abroad. An audacious undertaking, but in this case a successful one, and if anyone has the balls to pull that off, it is Mossad. They are probably the intelligence agency in the world aggressively, an aggressive intelligence agency. Carl Fulton, one of the best known honey traps in spy history, and we go back into history in this one, involves Mata Hari, a Dutch woman who had spent some years as an erotic dancer in Java. Now, during World War I, the French arrested her on charges of spying for the Germans based on their discovery through intercepted telegrams the German military attaché in Spain was sending her money. The French claimed that the German was a control officer and she was passing French secrets to him, secrets that she had obtained by seducing prominent French politicians and officers. During the trial, Mata Hari defended herself vigorously, claiming that she was actually the attaché's mistress and he was sending her gifts. But her arguments did not convince her judges, and she died by firing squad on October 15th, 1917, refusing a blindfold.
Look him in the eye.
Yeah. After the war, the French admitted they had no real evidence against her. The conclusion by most modern historians has been that she was shot because she was running a honey trap, not because she was running a honey trap operation, but to send a powerful message to any women who might be tempted to follow her example. So she probably was sleeping with French politicians and generals and all that, but she was also probably sleeping with this German guy too. Maybe she just liked to sleep with powerful men.
Who would give her lots of money and things that she wanted.
Yeah, gifts.
She used information to better her standing.
Yes, of course, but is it a warning? Yes. Mind you, she had some fun though, eh? Can't argue with that. That was her choice of life. You can't say she didn't enjoy it to the full. Now, sometimes a country's entire journalism corps can fall into an apparent honey trap. Yevgeny Ivanov was a Soviet attaché in London in the early 1960s. He was a handsome, personable officer and a popular figure on the British diplomatic and social scene, and a frequent guest at parties given by a society osteopath, Stephen Ward. I want to be a society osteopath. I don't know what it means, it just sounds great.
Fixing backs, isn't it, an osteopath?
I thought it was something to do with feet. Feet?
That's a paediatrician, isn't it?
That's a child.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's another one though. It's simpler to it. Simpler to it. Ward was famous for inviting the pick of London's beautiful young women to his gatherings, and one of them was Christine Keeler, a scatterbrained 60s good time girl who supposedly became Ivanov's mistress. Unfortunately for everyone involved, Keeler was the lover of the married British MP and Secretary of State for War, John Profumo, who was then working on plans with the United States to station cruise missiles in Germany. It's a bit of a problem, isn't it? In 1960...
Why?
Because she's then going to go and tell him everything. By the way, the Americans and the Brits are planning on putting missiles into West Germany. Yeah, you don't want the Russians knowing about that.
No.
In 1963, Profumo's affair with Keeler was exposed in the press, and Britain's famed scandal sheets also blew up the Soviet spy honey trap angle, for which there was no evidence, apparently. But there was. Now, Profumo was forced to resign for lying about the affair to the House of Commons. His wife forgave him, but his career was ruined.
Yeah.
Ivanov was recalled to Moscow, where he lived out his days pouring ridicule on the whole story. And he said, "It's ludicrous to think that Christine Keeler could have said to John Profumo in bed one night, 'Oh, by the way, darling, when are the cruise missiles going to arrive in Germany?'" But as I say, when the media gets hold of these things...
Yeah.
Just goes to show how much media have had control for years.
Of course it does.
It's not just a recent thing.
Of course not.
It's to sell the papers, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now, not all honey traps are heterosexual ones. In fact, during less tolerant eras, a homosexual honey trap with a goal of blackmail could be just as effective as using women as bait.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The tragic story of Jeremy Wolfenden, the Wolfenden, London Daily Telegraph's correspondent in Moscow in the early 1960s. He was doubly vulnerable to KGB infiltration. He spoke Russian and he was gay. And seizing the opportunity, the KGB ordered the Ministry of Foreign Trade's barber to seduce him and put a man with a camera in Wolfenden's closet to take compromising photos. The KGB then blackmailed Wolfenden, threatening to pass on the photographs to his employer if he did not spy on the Western community in Moscow. He reported the incident to his embassy, which is fair enough, but the official British reaction was not what he expected. On his next visit to London, he was called to see an officer from the Secret Intelligence Services, the SIS, or if you're a layman, MI5.
Same thing, is it?
MI5 is what people who don't know it's called the SIS call it. It is technically the Strategic Intelligence Service. They asked him to work as a double agent, leading the KGB along, but continuing to report back to the SIS. The stress led Wolfenden into alcoholism. He tried to end his career as a spy, marrying a British woman he met in Moscow, arranging a transfer from Moscow to the Daily Telegraph's Washington bureau, and telling friends he put his espionage days behind him.
Was he gay then or not?
I think he married the woman to try and put those rumours to bed.
Okay.
But the spy life was not so easily left behind. After encountering his old SIS handler at a British embassy party in Washington in 1965, he was once again pulled back into the association. and his life fell into a blur of drunkenness. On December 28th, 1965, when he was 31, he died, apparently from a cerebral hemorrhage caused by a fall in the bathroom. No matter what the actual cause of death, between them, the KGB and the SIS had sapped his will to live.
Oh. Got to have been drunk.
31,
And,
man.
got to have been drunk and clunked himself or something. hasn't he?
Yeah, more than likely. The sad thing is, he probably produced little useful information for either side because his colleagues weren't giving him any information because they were warned he was talking to the KGB.
Yeah,
It's a
so.
waste of time anyway.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Now, the broadest honey trap in intelligence history was probably the creation of the notorious East German spy master Marcus Wolf, because if you're going to be a German spy master, you should have Wolf in your name.
Mhm.
Like Wolf and Wolf, Wolfgang Wolf, Wolfgang Wolf von Wolf.
Wolfgang Wolf was once the manager of Wolfsburg.
He was, shit, yeah.
Was it during World War II?
Nobody ran his thing at the Wolf's Lair. In the early 1950s, Wolf recognised that with marriageable German men killed in large numbers during World War II, and more German women turning to careers, the higher echelons of German government, commerce and industry were now stocked with lonely single women ripe, in his mind, for the temptations of a honey trap. Valid point. It's the 1950s Germany. You've lost 3 million young men in World War II.
Yeah.
More single women out there than there are men.
What a time to have been alive.
There's a lot more women
tang
all
everywhere.
over the place, isn't
You mean
there?
apart from the crippling rationing and growing up in ruins, Pete?
Plenty of poontang. That's a line.
Hyperinflation.
Hyperinflation. Until the Marshall Plan kicked in
I'd have just been making babies.
and repopulating the country.
With lots of mothers.
Doing you good for the fatherland.
Yep. Don't worry, I've got blue eyes.
They weren't bothered about that at that point.
No. Probably been shunned for having blue eyes.
Probably. Wolf set up a special department of the Stasi, which is East Germany's security service, and staffed it with his most handsome, intelligent officers, and he called them Romeo Spies. Their assignment was to infiltrate West Germany, seek out powerful, unmarried women, romance them, and squeeze from them all their secrets.
Literally.
Now, thanks to the Romeo Spies and their honey traps, the Stasi penetrated most levels of the Western German government and industry, and at one stage the East Germans even had a spy inside NATO who was able to give them information on the West's deployment of nuclear weapons. Amazing the things men will say to people in bed. Or women for them.
In this case, wasn't it?
Yeah. Women in this case, it's fantastic.
Always blabbermouths, aren't they, women?
Oh
You know
my!
what I've done today?
Claire, just fucking slap him. You're entitled to.
She knows I'm only joking.
I didn't even
And
hear
it's
what you
true
said
as
then.
well.
I missed that, I was reading.
What are you going to say, Claire?
I don't know.
About women being not able to keep secrets.
She
Well,
agreed.
yeah, I agree. You know, oh, do you know what I've done today? Oh, you know, there's some missiles coming into X, Y, and Z.
Just say that they're like a bit of a gossip, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
There were women in this, and one of them used her connections to become a secretary in the office of the West German Chancellor, Helmut Schmidt. So, literally, they are in the very highest echelons of power. The scheme lost its usefulness when the West German counterintelligence authorities devised a simple way of identifying the Stasi officers as soon as they arrived in West Germany. They sported distinctly different haircuts. The practical short back and sides variety instead of the fashionable elaborate West German style. I'm presuming that's the feathered mullet.
Yeah.
Maybe the perm was more Liverpool. A feathered mullet. Alerted by train guards, counterintelligence officers would follow the Romeo Spies and arrest them at their wrong first move. Now, 3 of the women were caught and tried, but in general the punishment was lenient. One woman who managed to penetrate West German intelligence was sentenced to only 6.5 years in prison, probably because ordinary West Germans had some sympathy with her. Wolf himself faced trial twice after the collapse of communism, but received only a 2-year suspended sentence, given the confusion of whether an East German citizen could be found guilty of treachery to West Germany. Valid point.
Yeah.
Unlike most spy masters, Wolf preserved his own thoughts on his experience for posterity in his autobiography Man Without a Face. Wolf denied he put pressure on his officers to use love to do their jobs. It was up to the operators themselves. To quote him, he said they were sharp operators who realised that a lot could be done with sex. And this is true in business and espionage because it opens up channels of communication more quickly than the other approaches. How about the morality of it all? Well, he said, as long as there's espionage, there'll be Romeos seducing unsuspecting targets with access to secrets. However, he does maintain, I was running an intelligence agency, not a Lonely Hearts Club. Alright, let's run through some more recent ones.
Yeah.
Fang Fang, known as Christine Fang, is known, had relationships with 2 US mayors and targeted Democratic politicians in what the US officials believe was a political intelligence operation run by China.
You can
Is that
sink her
her?
fangs into me.
Is that her?
That's her. She's a very pretty
She's
Chinese lady.
She's very pretty.
They're all really pretty, though.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point, isn't it?
Fang Fang likely didn't pass classified information while she was in the US from 2011 to 2015, but she was in a position to observe government officials and their habits, schedules and social networks. Federal investigators were so concerned they gave a defense briefing to Eric Swalwell, a Californian Democratic congressman who Fang Fang had helped with fundraising, and she fled the US shortly after Swalwell cut ties with her. That's fairly recent. Still going on. The Chinese are taking this over with a passion then.
Yeah.
Maria Butina is a modern day.
Matahari, the woman from
Matahari.
before, from the 30s, who
Right,
was
okay.
shot by the French.
The Dutchwoman.
The Dutch woman, that's the one.
Yeah.
So, a gun-toting NRA supporting tentress who pled guilty to acting as a clandestine Russian agent for the US. She cozied up to the Trump administration and the National Rifle Association to gather intelligence from conservative power brokers. Bettina championed her love for guns on social media and dated Republican fundraiser Paul Erickson. She was sentenced to 18 months in prison but served only 5 before she was deported to Russia. Bettina told NPR Radio that all she had been doing was building peace between Washington and Moscow.
She's cozying up to the Trump administration. That's only, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yep, pretty recent, isn't it?
Pete?
When Anna Chapman moved to Manhattan in 2009, she told people she was a realtor. The truth was she was gathering intelligence and using a laptop to create private wireless network to contact Russian government officials. An FBI investigation revealed Chapman was a spy, part of a larger network operating in the US that later inspired the US series The Americans. Chapman and 9 others pled guilty to working as unlawful Russian agents. The Russians were part of a 2010 spy swap in Vienna, exchanged for spies including Sergei Skripal, a former MI6 informant, who was later poisoned in the UK.
Was, yeah.
Yeah.
Chapman now works as a model, according to her Instagram account.
2009.
Sergei Skripal, is that the one that died?
Was he the one with the
Salisbury.
stuff on
No,
Salisbury?
is that
Yeah,
Salisbury?
on the doorknob.
With
yeah.
his daughter?
Litvinenko was the one that was poisoned with
That's
polonium.
right.
That's it,
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah. Sergei and his daughter actually survived, didn't they?
They did, yes.
It was the poor buggers that fucking encountered it a month or so later that didn't survive.
Yep, absolutely.
Amy Elizabeth Thorpe, better known by a married name Betty Pack, seduced men to help the Allies win World War II.
Wow, what an effort.
Is there a picture of her? Ah, man, she was a
She's
hot.
very attractive.
She was an American-born beauty raised in Minnesota, the daughter of a US Marines officer. Pack married a British diplomat, which led to an introduction to MI6's top brass. While in Warsaw, she learned the Polish were already cracking the Enigma codes, and she passed on information about how the machine was used. She's also credited with stealing the Vichy Code books out of the Vichy embassy. In the 1963 obituary, Time magazine said Pack Used the bedroom like Bond uses a Beretta.
Ooh.
Quality.
Ooh,
Look at
that's,
her again.
Female Bond.
that's an epitaph you want, though, isn't it?
Let's have a look at her again.
Yeah, beautiful woman.
Yeah, she's very pretty.
Great,
Nowadays
beautiful eyes.
as well, the way they
Fantastic
made up.
eyes.
Imagine what she'd look like in nowadays, like modern looks. She'd be stunning, wouldn't she?
Hopefully she's not orange and with big pouty lips.
No, she'd probably have duck lips.
Oh.
Whack
Yeah.
whack.
2019. India identified 150 social media profiles used by Pakistan to honey trap Indian army officers into spilling state secrets. The problem was so alarming, India asked soldiers to remove Facebook, Instagram, Tinder and dozens of other apps from phones. The seduction usually started with a woman liking a soldier's social media posts and asking for more photos of guns and aircraft.
Yeah.
The conversation would then evolve into direct messaging where Pakistan's inter-services intelligence seductively asked for defence secrets.
So how can you seductively ask for defence secrets?
Like, hey, I'll suck your dick if you tell me where the missiles are.
That's not very seductive. It's
It's,
straight to the
it's
point.
seductive for me. That's all it'll take for me.
Ben will be giving the exact coordinates instantly.
Really? Well, I'm actually working at one right now. I like that though. That's a really, why send people to do it now? You can do it you can create some fake accounts on
She's
Tinder.
hot.
The guy in it.
Yeah.
Austria's former Vice-Chancellor Heinz Christian
Stracker.
was looking forward to meeting a young woman at a luxury villa in Ibiza, Spain, back in 2017.
Claire, I think you'll find it's Ibiza.
Ibiza?
The Venga Boys said it's Ibiza.
Did they?
Yeah,
We're going
they
to
did.
Ibiza.
Did they?
Back to the island.
Back to the
That's how
island.
Americans say it as well.
I thought they sang Ibiza.
No.
No. She introduced herself as
Alonia Makarova.
lovely, the niece of the Russian oligarch Igor
Makarov.
She was also videotaping the conversation when she proposed support for his far-right Freedom Party in return for their state contracts. The Ibiza, you got me saying Ibiza now. The Ibiza video triggered a political crisis in Austria as the FPO was part of the country's governing coalition.
Yeah.
It's a weirdo, isn't it?
Yeah. Just for money in that scenario then.
Yeah.
She's hot.
But then, right, so should we do some fucked up facts? Just give our final thoughts. Honey traps.
Cool as fuck.
I'd be a sucker for this. If they,
Yeah, it'd be hard not to be. It'd be hard not to be. It really would. If you're a single fucking man, and like you said, some hot woman.
Oh, these
Ben's a
guys-
counsellor now. He might start getting honey traps coming at him.
Shit!
Why do you think I joined your podcast?
Peter's not working, mate. Sorry.
That's what you think.
No, I'm pretty confident.
Me too.
We have opposing viewpoints on how well this is going.
Give it another 3 or 4 beers. Don't worry. I'm confident.
Mike, gonna drink a sip out of all my beers from now on.
All I'm going to say is rubber up, guys. Safety first.
It's fucking terrible, obviously. In reality, yeah, it's a terrible thing because you're using your sexuality to gain benefit.
You're emotionally investing them into you, aren't you?
Yeah. And I know what it's like to fall in love with somebody and then have your heart torn out from your chest. And sorry. And imagine how these poor gents feel when they realise, shit, all women, that they were only with me because they wanted fucking information. God damn it, I love them.
Yeah, but we're all
So,
like watching James Bond, wouldn't you?
heartbreaking.
It's okay for James Bond to do it, isn't it?
No, but we all like James Bond because he's fucking suave and sophisticated.
Drinks a martini.
And he drinks a martini, shaken, not stirred.
And there were none in there that included what we went through, the ones where they actually marry and have kids.
Yeah.
It actually
It did for
turns
like
into
20
a real...
years.
There was a couple in there with that. Yeah, they married their kids, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. They're the worst, aren't they?
Oh, that's
No,
just...
because an actual relationship has formed.
Yeah, I know, but this other guy's probably got kids and a family elsewhere.
In some scenarios, yes. In some scenarios, no.
That it might have just formed, and now I've been found out, but I do love you still.
It's like finding. So you become the British ambassador somewhere, Mike. As a single bloke, you marry a woman from the country.
Yeah.
You have children with her. You have 20 years of marriage, and she turns around. Then at the end of the day, it turns out she was actually just doing it for the country. So you tell her shit.
Yeah.
And
what's she going to do? The first thing she says is leave, innit?
And that's it. Yeah, she leaves. Yeah. But there must have been something there.
No, I don't think there is. Surely not.
You can't fake it all, can you?
No, in some circumstances, in some of these situations, I bet there was love, maybe
they left because they were told to, or they had to.
Left because they had to leave the country because they'd been found out as a spy. You'd run after your partner.
You're trying to romanticise it a bit. These people, they go in there, hook up with somebody to get information. It lasts 20 years, they'll marry, have kids, and then as soon as the assignment's over, they leave. They don't care.
There is that element to it, absolutely, but you've got to still have feelings for your kids, haven't you?
You'd think.
Surely you can't be that emotionally disconnected. Even I'd struggle with that.
I guess they recruit psychopaths that don't have emotions.
I guess that's the only way you could do it is if you're all
1% of the population are psychopaths.
Yeah, but there's only so many 1% of the people. You've got
you only need half a dozen spies.
Yeah, but you've got loads of them in the army and shit as well, and the navy and ruling the country and in business. Yeah. There's only 1%, Mike.
Boris Johnson.
He could have been a honey trap in his day.
But if you're poor and you're a psychopath, you're more likely to end up in prison, and these people might get to these people before they get to going to do a 10 stretch or come work for us, isn't it? That's probably how they get them.
Well, I think you just got to look at people who have got that. You need them to be attractive, don't you? So you've got to look at your modelling community. You have to, haven't you? You need these people to be attractive. They've got to be so attractive they can cause married men and women to confess state secrets to them in the bedroom, which is something they may never have.
Yeah, but they don't necessarily have to be models, do they?
Well, they've got to be pretty damn good looking, haven't they? That's why they're called a honey trap.
Yeah. But
there's no point sending you or I to do it. We'd fail miserably. Or
plenty of good-looking people who aren't models.
What are you saying? I could honey trap someone.
Yeah, maybe Fat Tracy from Down the Lamb and Flag. I don't use the phrase "unleash the Kraken" very often, but when I see her, I do.
I couldn't honey trap a rabid badger.
But I mean, men do this as well. Claire, where do you stand on the male side of it? So, because it's all right when us sitting there going, "Oh yeah, I'm being sexist."
Not tell her where
being very
I'd tell her where the nukes were if she stuck her norks in me face.
Exactly. Claire, where do you stand on this? If you were put yourself in this scenario, you're a British diplomat somewhere, maybe you're married, maybe you're not. What's it gonna take for someone to come along and grab, your husband's not there.
On your shoulder and going, "Hey baby,
your husband's not there.
Dick on your shoulder."
I think they're a bit more subtle than that, Pete.
Well, there was a lot less, women diplomats and that being sort of sucked in, wasn't there?
Yeah, because there was a lot less women in them positions.
A lot less women in those positions. Well, in the 1950s, when the Stasi with the Romeos there, they were women and men. They're getting them into the West German West German Chancellor's office.
What were the women called then? Were they Juliets?
I guess they were still Romeos, technically, because Juliet didn't really seduce anyone, did she?
No.
Romeo just fell in love with her.
Ethically, on a grander scale, it's not right, is it? But I think there would be feelings there. Maybe I'm romanticising it.
I think there's got to be something, hasn't there? There's got to be some feeling there. Because no matter
that lovely feeling at the tip of your penis.
If you say because as much as people like to say, "Oh, no strings attached," never ends up being that way, does it?
Yeah, unless you're a psychopath, that's what I think they must be.
I don't know. I've had no strings attached to sex before.
Yeah, but over a period of time with the same partner. Or just one. I mean, I'm talking about over a period of time with the same partner, some mutual agreement, no strings attached. It doesn't ever work like that. You end up developing some feelings for them.
Their job is to make you fall in love with them.
I know that's their job.
They're manipulating.
I know, but they must feel something back, especially children involved.
There's people out there that don't. That's the thing. They don't feel this. They don't have emotions like us. They've got no compassion, no empathy. Most of them are in the fucking government of this country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, any government of any country, Mike. I guess this one.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying I only know the British one. I can't comment on Uganda's.
You mean you can't comment on Uganda's political spectrum?
No.
Well, shame on you.
Yeah. Just some fucked up facts then.
Can I just say that I think this is like a tremendously effective way of gaining intelligence.
Yeah.
It's the best way, innit? That's why it still goes on.
No one
loses.
No one gets killed.
It's a win-win.
No one gets killed unless you're executed.
Yeah, the first lady was executed, wasn't she?
Yeah, Matahari was, but that was mainly as a bit of a warning as well.
She was made an example of, wasn't she?
Right, well, that is Honey Traps. Hope you've all enjoyed it. Let's finish on some fucked up facts.
Fur honey on toast.
Facts, fucked up facts, facts. Fucked up facts are Mike. Hit us with some knowledge.
Does anybody like Bovril?
No.
I've never tried it actually. I didn't know what it is. It's like a gravy drink or something.
Basically,
Yeah.
on the day, hit the day on the head.
On the nut.
On the nut, I know.
On the nose.
On the nose, yes.
Either way, Bovril.
Yep, It was invented for Napoleon III.
Yeah, he was the worst Napoleon, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, he literally was the worst Napoleon.
Was
Yeah, he's the one that got his arse handed to him by the Prussians. Captured Paris and everything, it was terrible. He had to surrender early on in the war. He was not like his great-granddad. He was also not completely overrated.
And you're blaming the Bovril.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Either way.
Because any man who's that bad at... who's called Napoleon, he's that bad at generaling an army, would only think of a shit drink. I guess it's got a lot of calories. It's one of them kind of drinks where it's...
Beefy, innit, Bovril?
Yeah.
Is it like a beef broth?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Brummies love it, don't they? Bovril?
Just because they like saying it. Oh, do you want some Bovril?
Do you want some Bovril?
It's very much a drink of the older generation, isn't it?
Yeah. Go on then, next one.
About a third of the UK population has discussed the weather within the last hour. I don't think
can
we're
believe
part
that.
of that, are we?
No, we're not. No, we're not. I was earlier.
Yeah.
At about 5 o'clock I was.
Yeah.
Recording this like nearly 3 hours later, but yeah, I was in that group then.
Yeah, me too, when I was at the chippy. So it's cold.
I mentioned it when I come in, didn't I?
Yeah. We have been in that group.
It's what we do!
Yep.
It's one thing that keeps British people saying is
Come
moaning
on,
around
right,
the weather.
let's face it.
Yesterday it was too hot.
Yesterday it was 30 degrees. Today it was 15 degrees.
Can I just... I'm going to do I know it's a visual thing, so the listener may have to sort of take the guy's reactions, but I'm going to show you... I went to Download Festival last weekend. There's my festival tan, that's after a week, yeah? So it's quite red and sore, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's after a week. This, I'm rolling my sleeve further up. It's from yesterday.
Your yesterday burn.
My yesterday burn. It is bright pink. It's red. It's angry. It kept me awake last night. Every time I rolled onto my arm, it woke me up. It was a bastard. I burn like.
Is it on both arms?
Yeah. Yes, a little
You
bit.
just put your one arm in the sun all day and just be like.
A little bit. No, it's not as pronounced on the other arm. But this, because this is where the sun was and where I was driving, and all that. I got it on the left, and it was horrific. And then we've fallen into that category because we talked about the damn weather.
How predictable.
But yeah, I am vaping.
Can anybody guess how many blimps there are in the world?
Ooh.
749.
No, I'm not going that high.
323.
Lower.
No, I'm actually going to go like
A couple of thousand.
120.
Lower.
Ooh, 73.
Lower.
1,000.
No, just
73, yeah. Lower than 73.
73 lower. Oh, crikey. I don't know.
Is this a commercial blimp? So is this like
just blimps.
Just blimps. 25.
Really?
No way.
Nah. I always see one sat around fucking Birmingham and that, like, little blimp.
Yeah, and we do like the Goodyear blimp, that kind of thing.
That's what I mean. Are they counting? Are we talking commercial blimps that actually have passengers, or are we talking little?
How many commercial blimps do you see trotting around? There's Hindenburg's not roaming about, mate. I don't use it for Atlantic travel anymore.
There are still blimps.
I know what you're saying.
Are the Americans big on blimps?
They are, yeah. Ones that are crewed, I think. So ones that have got a crew and that little
They
command
take
capsule
people
underneath.
around with them, and they have a dinner on there, and that, like on James Bond and
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. Yeah,
I don't know if people still do that.
I don't know.
Obviously not, because there's only
Well,
25
there's only 25,
fucking blimps.
so yeah.
I
clearly
guess
not.
they're just stationed outside sporting events so most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of them are probably in America, if not all of them. Maybe a couple in Europe.
Are they like just talking about like the big functional blimps? Then are they? Because it can't be meaning like the ones that they stick on a piece of string.
No, we're talking
Because I see
like
3 or 4 of them when I do a trip down the motorway.
Just says there's 25 blimps in the world. It's got a picture of a Goodyear blimp.
with the engine. It's got engines on it. I think is the best way to
We're
describe
talking
it.
proper blimps.
Hindenburg R101.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Airships would be a better way to describe it.
I bet they're
But
quite
blimp
pricey.
is such a better word, isn't it? Blimp.
Blimp. I'd like Rowan Atkinson to say that.
Okay, the first person to catch the H5N1 variant of bird flu in the UK was a Mr. Gosling.
Oh my god.
Proof we live in a simulation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, shut up, man. No, we don't.
It can't be a coincidence.
That's just my own cognitive dissonance. That's not there's
Well,
no
maybe-
evidence. There's
maybe
lots of evidence for it. I just refuse to believe it.
Maybe his surname was Gosling for a reason, because he might have come from generations of duck fuckers.
Swan fuckers.
I
Swan.
don't know. Maybe his genetics have been slightly altered with a bit of duck gene or something. I
What you're suggesting in this scenario, Pete, is that not only, first of all, it needs to be fucking baby swans,
don't know. Yeah.
and second of all, you're suggesting the DNA flows both ways during sexual intercourse.
What if it was actually one of the women had a thing for ducks?
But you can't impregnate via
It didn't need impregnation. Maybe it was just that she'd had so many.
mutant duck cum.
Yeah.
Mr. Gosling there is practically an X-Man. He's got some kind of swan DNA in him.
Swan man.
Swan man, he can break your arm.
Maybe it's the shape of his penis.
Corkscrew.
That's a swan's neck, isn't he? He's got a massive swan's neck, thick penis.
They've got
And he can break your arm with it.
They've got corkscrew penises.
Oh
They
yeah.
can open up your wine for you as well.
Swans have got corkscrew penises.
Yeah. Well, I know ducks have. I assume swans are the same.
Oh, that's one a bold assumption to make in this interspecies time,
How
mate.
did they have to spin round to
Must
get out?
do. Yeah. I don't know why though.
bit of duck fellatio been going on there, is it, Mike?
Okay, I'm the duck fucker. I admit it.
I knew the Dolly duck fucker. There's a reason you weren't allowed to perform at Dolly Day. I knew we didn't have Hook a Duck for a reason.
I just wanted to put people in a tent and throw rats at them and open them.
And then fuck some ducks.
The point is, he's got to be fucking swans. That's what's going wrong here.
Yeah, either way. Yeah, fucked up. Funny. Mad coincidence.
Yes.
Would anyone love to live in Iceland?
No.
Oh, I'd love to see the Northern Lights.
I'd live in Iceland, yeah.
I'd like to go there. Wouldn't want to live
You wouldn't
there.
want to live there before 1989
What was that?
because beer was banned everywhere in Iceland except the airport.
Prohibition?
Yep.
Oh
Better never get a job at the airport.
It's about £11 for a fucking McDonald's burger.
no! Yeah, well, your
Very
wage
expensive,
reflects
innit?
it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They're paid more, so that's like, for them, 11 quid is our £5.50 for a Big Mac meal.
So if they come to England for holiday, they're minted.
Yeah, depending on the exchange rate. I know they use euros or not in Iceland. They're outside the EU but still got their foot in, haven't they? They're like what we should have done, kept one foot in my opinion, obviously.
So, yeah. So no beer until 1989.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Well, that's alright, because I was 6.
30 years ago, it didn't matter.
So I couldn't have drank anyway.
In June 2021, scientists tracked an underwater avalanche that didn't stop flowing for 2 days.
Well, that's
Ooh.
a big ass avalanche.
Isn't that an avalanche snow? What exactly were they tracking? Sort of like the sediment at the bottom, or what?
Oh, avalanche
No idea.
isn't snow, is it? I think technically.
It's what? It's snow-covered rocks, isn't it? And snow.
Oh, yeah, 'cause a
There's rocks
landslide's
in there.
So landslide's a landslide. It's not an avalanche, is it?
Yeah. But there's got to be rocks in the avalanche, haven't there? Because the weight of the snow would push them down the hill.
Do you think it's
Trees and everything, isn't it?
Trees too. So does that mean that like there was an avalanche into the sea and it just carried on going?
Well, no, because obviously there's loads of like. So the biggest mountains and that in the world are underwater, aren't they?
Mm.
It's just one of them crumbling a bit, I guess, or something like you got your fucking cliffs.
Maybe avalanche is the word for the movement,
Yeah,
and
maybe.
not for, it doesn't have to necessarily be with snow.
Either way, I don't think we have the technical knowledge in this field
No.
to comment on that fact.
Either way, that's
It's
mad.
pretty impressive though, isn't it?
Yeah.
2 days.
Switzerland has fondue vending machines.
Like it. Fantastic idea. I'd love some
I
fondue
want a
right
pizza
then,
vending machine. Have you seen
Cheese
them?
or chocolate?
No.
They do pizza vending machines as well.
Mm.
Where?
Loads of places. Like literally loads of places are getting them.
Pete's Mind.
Not
No, in
Smudging,
Amsterdam
but-
there's little vending machines that do your hot stuff on the side of the road. And
No, I never saw them actually, but then again, I was too
Pizza
fucking high to be
vending
fair.
machine. Yeah, I'll look.
I think I was too engaged in the local culture.
There's one in
That's what you're labelling it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm labelling it.
the UK's first pizza vending machine has opened.
Nice.
Bristol. This is in 2020 November.
Oh,
Cooks in just 3 minutes.
Nice.
alright, I'll go
It
for that.
basically gets you fresh dough out, puts it together, and fucking pops
Yeah.
a bit of cheese on top and cooks it. Bosh.
That'll be the feature of a restaurant soon. All AI, computers, robots doing it.
No, but then again, if you lose that human touch, might you lose the soul?
The soul of a pizza.
Yeah.
I know
Or
that
maybe the
I'm
robot's
definitely.
got a soul.
Well, I know I'm definitely not going to get pickles on my burger if it's going to be a robot instead of the retards in McDonald's.
Why?
Because the robot won't get it wrong.
He also just dropped an R-bomb.
What, robots?
The other one.
Wait, I don't know what you're talking about. Robots? No.
No.
Robots?
Yes, Pete, robots.
You can cut that out.
During the plague of 1665, the Royal College of Physicians recommended purifying the air by what?
Farting.
That's going to purify the air.
Purifying the air, burning herbs, things like that.
That's good thinking.
Jizzing all over the place.
You're always farting and jizzing, aren't you? I don't know. Like,
Always
Quite
farting
this
and
is
jizzing.
quite an American sort of thing to do.
Spreading
to be
cheeseburgers all over the walls.
Firing guns.
fair. Yes! Firing guns.
Firing muskets.
Frequently, yeah.
Wow, to scare the miasma away.
Must be.
that would
Shoot them at the air.
purify the air.
Yep.
Shooting the germs.
Shoot the germs.
Technically, as an airborne germ, you probably would take out a few on the way if you shot a bullet. If it's an airborne germ, it would probably splat a few on the way. Not
Depending on the crowd you're firing, I mean, these things are microscopic, aren't they, I suppose?
Wasn't the air in front of the bullet just going to push it out of the way?
No, that's a valid point
if
too.
it's
yeah.
microscopic, it's more likely.
I'm not saying the bullet
But
wouldn't.
it might interrupt the bacteria would hitch a ride like on a
To be fair, in 16
spit bubble or something. wouldn't it?
1665.
1665, science wasn't good enough for them to even start thinking about anything like what we've just thought about. They just thought it was, oh, shoot your guns! It'll clear the air, it will. I tell you now, shoot them lots. Don't worry about all those people dying, just shoot them.
Shoot the guns, create a gunpowder fog.
It would have been something to do with the smell of
Why do them
the...
Americans sound like farmers?
Oh, was it in
UK?
America? Was it in America?
No,
this was?
1665 was the last outbreak of the plague.
It was in
Britain.
England.
Yes, that's why they're
Okay.
speaking like that. Yeah.
I said it's an American sort of response, isn't it?
Oh, right,
Yeah,
okay.
that-
I mean, like firing a nuke at a hurricane.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And on this one, humans have the largest bottoms in the animal kingdom relative to body size.
Wow.
I do know some people with some fucking large bottoms, so yeah, I'll agree with that.
I love big butts and I cannot lie.
Well, we all know that fat bottom girls make the rocking world go round.
Yep.
That's right.
And I think we can all agree on that.
Nothing wrong with a bit of cushion for the pushing.
So, on that note, let's end the show. I've been Ben. Thanks for listening. Don't do the favour raid. Don't join a cult.
I've been Mike, thanks for listening. Peace out. May the force be with you.
I've been Claire. Keep an open mind, but not so open that it spills out your ears.
And I've been Pete. Aim low, shoot high.
Cheers.
Fan mail.
Bye.